I'm really excited about our first guest. This is a case that was brought to my attention from a listener who got a hold of me a couple of weeks ago and alerted me to it. And from then on, kind of snowballed into getting a hold of her. So if you're not up to speed on this case, it is a court case that has been asked to define what a woman is. It is a landmark gender identity discrimination case and was heard last week in front of a packed gallery of trans and women's rights campaigners in Sydney. Roxan Tickle is a transgender woman from regional New South Wales and is suing the women-only social platform Giggle for Girls and its CEO, Sall Grover, for alleged unlawful discrimination after being blocked from using the networking app. Now, this case is a landmark case, as I said. At its heart are definitions of gender and sex and the boundaries of the Sex Discrimination Act. The outcome is likely to have wide-reaching implications for male and female spaces and activities. And before we do go to Sal, I just want to remind you, well, let's go back a year. It was pretty much a year to the day. And Sean Plunket was actually in Parliament and he asked our then Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins, what a woman was, and here was his answer.
How do you and how does this government define a woman?
To be honest, Sean, that question's come slightly out of left field for me. Biology, sex, gender. People define themselves. People define their own genders.
How awkward was that? Do you remember watching that? That went round the world. That was our then Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins. To Sean's question, what is a woman? It's an adult female human being, Chippy. 2 X chromosomes, reproductive organs that make childbearing possible. But it was like he was asked, how do you cure cancer? It was phenomenal. But anyway, I wanted to remind you of that one because this is where we're at when the then Prime Minister couldn't answer that question. So it is time to bring on, and fantastic to bring on to the show, Sall Grover, CEO of Giggle for Girls. I'll get this one. Sal, how are you?
Hi, I'm laughing from that clip.
Did it make it to Australia? Did you see that?
Yeah, I believe I actually shared it on Twitter. I remember it. It's just absolutely insane, but does highlight the absolute absurdity of the position we're in at this point in time.
Exactly. Now, Sal, we have a lot to get through, a lot to unpack, but before we get to the case and your story, you've got quite a close connection to New Zealand, don't you, with family?
I do. So, my dad has lived in Australia for over 40 years now. I think it's 43 years, but my dad is from New Plymouth and I still have family there. And then my partner is from Rotorua and all of his family are in Rotorua and Auckland. So my daughter is half Maori. I have stepdaughters in Christchurch and an auntie in Dunedin. So everywhere.
Fantastic.
All over the place. Yeah.
All right. Now let's go back to 2020 when you founded the Giggle for Girls app, a female-only app. Could you tell the listeners who they don't know anything about it, why did you create it and what was its purpose?
So it was basically just a social networking app for women. It's offline at the moment, but it was my mum actually came up with the idea. I'd been living in Hollywood. I was there working as a screenwriter, and this was pre-Me Too, and the place is as horrible as everybody says it is, and I'd had a lot of those sort of experiences. And I'd moved to New York and I was trying to find a room to rent and there was lots of sexual harassment on there. And I was like, can there just be one thing that we women get to do without this sort of unwanted, horrible male interaction? And so when I came back to Australia and I was in therapy just to recover from stuff that had happened, my therapist said, you need a strong female support network in your life. And my mum said, why don't we create a roommate app just for women? I was like, that's actually a really cool idea. And then we sort of developed the idea a bit and thought, there's lots of other things that women would need to connect on the app for. And so we had like lesbian dating, we had give and get freelance work, traveling, just general emotional support, just anything that we could think of, we put on there. And yeah, I had no idea at the time that there was, any of this stuff. I honestly did not know it existed. And to keep the app female only, like to keep the digital space female only, that was sort of the first question of how would we do it. And what we discovered that there was this AI software basically that could just scan a photo and say whether it's male or female. And so I was like, fantastic. At the time, I thought that was the least controversial way to do it because everyone can tell who is male and female by looking at them. We do this instinctively, like potentially thousands of times a day, just walking down the street. And also we take so many selfies. So I was like, this is non-invasive. This is great. And I could not have been more wrong, basically.
So you used an AI, and this is how the women would get on to Giggle for Girls. Did I read somewhere too, or I saw an interview with you where on a daily basis men were trying to get on the app? Was it for just for fun or sabotage? What was that about?
I would actually say both. So yes, you're correct that thousands of men would have tried to get on the app. So that's how I was brought into this gender ideology world because the app was just on the App Store in beta testing. We had not launched yet, and it came under attack from what I now know are trans activists, and thousands upon thousands of them infiltrated the App Store and Google Play with 1-star reviews, calling us transphobic. That's when I was introduced to the word TERF, which is what women who know what a woman is are called. It's like a slur. We didn't have our security measures in place at that point, so most of them got on the app and they would create profiles saying, rape TERFs or kill TERFs or whatnot. It was horrific. So that's how I was introduced to this, and I was like, I have to find out what's actually going on, and I started to learn. But over the course of the 2 years that the app was actually online, between 3 to 6 weeks, we'd have a major attack where it would be thousands of them. But at least every day there was a slow day would have been like, 20 to 50 or something like that.
Wow.
It was constant, men trying to get on. Sometimes it was pure, obvious sabotage. Other times, I think that they were some were just curious about the AI to see how it worked.
So you had men, trying to get on, and you had the AI working, and then Roxan Tickle in 2021, if I'm correct, was accepted onto the app. So Roxy used a photo or a selfie, and the AI went woman, and then was later denied. How did you or your people then? How did that come to how did you notice that?
So it would have been me. I don't recall removing him from the app, but I can all but guarantee that it would have been me. So basically, we had the AI verification set to 94% accuracy because when we did testing of it, we found that that didn't reject women, and occasionally it would let a man on. But we wanted to make sure no woman was rejected. So we made the decision, rightly or wrongly, that if there was a man that got through, we would just manually remove him because we were always watching it behind the scenes to make sure it was working because the attacks would happen. And for the most part, it did work, but occasionally a man would get through. Getting through didn't mean that it was like you're a woman. It just meant that the AI did not work in that 100% capacity at that particular moment. But the good old-fashioned human eye doesn't lie. So, I mean, there was just another day at the office. There would be a man that would get through, I don't know how often, like one a week, whatever it was. And, I would have seen a photo of a man when I was just going through checking everything and would have removed him. Because it wasn't an event, I don't have any actual recollection of it.
And like you said, if you're getting thousands of men trying to get in there, then you notice Roxan Tickle, remove Tickle, and then well, all hell breaks loose. When did you first hear about the lawsuit? Because obviously Roxy didn't take that well. Yeah, so the first time Roxan Tickle became someone of note in my life was after I removed him X amount of time afterwards, because I don't know the exact date, so I'm not sure, but X amount of time, either a few days or a few weeks, he called and texted my phone, and no one else has ever done that. And at the time, it really scared me because basically to use the app, all you had to have was your phone number and take the selfie. That was the basically two pieces of data. And so because he called and texted my phone, I just entered this phone number into the Giggle server, and I saw a picture of a man, and I called my Kiwi dad, and I said, there is a guy who has
he's blocked from the app and he's called and texted my phone, and I'm quite freaked out by it. And he said, block his number and don't tell your mother, because my mum sees all the death threats that women receive. And this is pre-Kelly Jane Auckland time, but we've been getting death threats for a very, very long time, and general threats of violence. And so I did. I just sort of forgot about it. And then in January 2022, I got an Australian Human Rights Commission complaint alleging gender identity discrimination. And so how the Australian Human Rights Commission works is basically if there's like a human rights complaint put in, if they deem it valid, then you get notified about it. I got a solicitor straight away. You go back and forth a bit, but then you can settle it in conciliation. And the conditions for me to settle with him in conciliation were to let him on the app, let all men who claim to be women on the app go to sex and gender education classes, which could only possibly be re-education classes.
Hang on. This is you had to.
Yes, I had to.
So to reconciliate, put him back on the app, and what? Go to sex what?
Sex and gender education classes.
Oh, yes. I've been ordered to do that in the past.
Yeah, but also thereby confirming that they are different things. So
well, exactly right.
Which is entirely our point. But anyway, and so I said no to this. There was two reasons I said no. One, I was never going to agree to any of this, and I knew that I also had rights, because this whole thing is a conflict of rights, and the Australian Human Rights Commission was treating me as guilty from day dot. Second of all, the week I got that AHRC complaint, I was 15 weeks pregnant, and so as we were going back and forth through this, I was just becoming increasingly pregnant, and it was stressful, and I was like, I'm not going to go and put myself through that. And in that time, actually, I'd had my 20-week scan and found out I was having a girl, and I was like, so while the AHRC was saying to me, assigned sex at birth and gender identity, I was like, no, I'm literally experiencing how it does work, and that is that biological sex is observed, even in utero, halfway through pregnancy, and everything you're saying to me is utter nonsense, and I'm not going to play a part in it. So by me refusing to go to conciliation, it meant that he had the option, if he chose to go to file in federal court, which he did.
I'm talking to Sall Grover, who is the CEO of Giggle for Girls. You are listening to The Platform with Leah Panapa. We're going to take a quick break, Sall. Stay with me, please, because I want to come back and we are going to discuss, things rolled on and Sall went to court. Tickle's not giving up. What does this mean? It is fascinating and scary at the same time.